Friends, at this time we are going to begin services for Ted Lasky. I would ask if anyone has a cell phone, if you take a moment now, please, to make sure that it's turned off or placed in the silent mode before we begin the service. And officiating our services today is Rabbi Michael Davis.
Dear friends, family, we're gathered to honor the life of Ted Lasky, dad, granddad, father-in-law, beloved husband, dear friend. We begin with ancient words of comfort, words from the Hebrew Bible that have given consolation to countless generations, perhaps the most beloved of all the Hebrew Psalms, the 23rd Psalm. I'll chant it in the traditional original Hebrew from the Tanakh, from the Bible, and then invite us to read it together from the English, which you can find in the handout you received as we gathered at the top of the first inside panel. I invite you to take in these words, these sounds, as a prayer of comfort. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai rohi lo echsar, binod yarbitzeini, al mei menuchot yenahaleini. Nafshi yeshovev, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'magelei tzedek, ay leman shemo. Gam ki elech begetz al mavet, lo irara, ki ata imadi, shivtecha, umishantecha, shivtecha, umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, taroch lefanai shulchan, neged zorerai, di shanta vashemen roshi, kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed, yirdefuni, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai, leyorech yomim. Let us read together the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We just reflect on one word which leaps off the page to me on this snowy day in the middle of this cold winter. Green pastures, a bit of a fantasy right now, right? Just want the white to go away a little bit, right? It's enough. Somebody said, I'm done with my free trial of winter, ready to move on. But actually, in the Jewish tradition, we are in the month of Shavat, which you can see on the cover, the 6th of Shavat. This is a winter month. The 6th means we're approaching the middle of the month, the full moon. The 15th of the month is always the full moon, and that is Jewish Arbor Day, Tu B'Shvat, where we celebrate the trees, and who are particularly hardy right now, standing out there and ready to come back in the spring with that green, right? So we celebrate the trees, we celebrate spring early in anticipation of that which we'll hope and know will come in just a few months. And perhaps that's a symbol for us that in the heart of winter, in sadness, in grief, we know that good things will come, joys will come, and when that time comes, we'll smile and also perhaps wipe away a tear of joy and sadness intermingled. I invite you to take a few moments for private reflections, personal memories, a prayer if you like. Let's take a few moments of silence all together. Let us come together and give voice, affirming each other's private thoughts as one community of love with the prayer for peace or Seh Shalom, which you can find on the back panel, the end of the Kaddish that we're going to say later at West Lawn. We're going to sing the last 2 lines in the Hebrew or the last 2.5 lines in the English transliteration or Seh Shalom. So I'd like to say, if you know it, please sing out loud. And if you don't, just fake it along with everybody else. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, imru, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. The main mitzvah is bringing forward words of sweetness and blessing and memory. I think, Jeff, you have some words you want to share with us? So come on up, son Jeff.
I had something written and I can't find it, so it's typical of my. But all I could say that really comes to mind is that he was a beloved husband, the most beloved father, most beloved father-in-law and grandfather and friend and uncle and you name it. And I apologize if I haven't said, but I couldn't have. He's absolutely the best at all those. And so I think we all know how wonderful a person Ted is. And so I just thought I'd bore you with a few stories that we had growing up. So I just want to say, first of all, my dad was there when we got my engagement ring, and so was my mom, for my lovely wife, Rebecca. He's there. He was always there for my mom when she was ill, and she's always been there for him. And they've taught me everything as a couple I could learn to love and share family. He shares the love and desire for watches, like his grandson Joshua. Absolute love and desire for watches, to the point where I definitely know they're related. And, he's just been an incredible father, incredible friend. And memories come out like when we went golfing. And anybody who knows me would know that I'm probably one of the most horrendous golfers in the world. And we were at a par 3 course. And I will have to state that we definitely challenged the fact that it was a par 3. And also, I remember my dad when I was growing up, and I was learning responsibility, and how one time I was taking a nap after my time at college at DuPage, and he woke me up in the middle of the day to tell me that Sergeant Sanders was on the line. I had no idea who he was, and I found out it was a whole military sign-up thing. But I think we all realize that I'm not necessarily the best person for the military aspect of that. But anyway, and also I think of just an amazing father, always there, through thick and thin, and just how greatly he'll be missed and how much we love him. And I thank you all for being here today, and just thank you for keeping my father in your memory.
And speaking for friends, Helene, ready to go? Friend of many, many decades. I won't say how many. I'll leave that to you. You have some words prepared.
Thank you, Rabbi. My name is Helene Levine, and my husband, Chuck. We're truly lucky to have known Ted and Lynn Lasky for 51 years. We met in July of 1974. When we were signing our apartment leases at Mount Shire, which is a large apartment complex located in Mount Prospect, Illinois. While waiting for the paperwork to be completed, we started talking and found we had much in common. The Laskys and Levines were both married several weeks earlier. The Laskys were married on June 2nd and the Levines on June 23rd. We also found out that Lynn and I both had June birthdays, and Ted and Chuck had both their birthdays in October. Once our leases were signed, we both shared our new addresses. The Laskys lived, I believe, at 1870 Palm Drive, and we lived just across a small path at 1860 Palm Drive. As we said goodbye to one another, I will never forget when Ted smiled at us and said, "Hey, maybe we can meet for a drink sometime." We smiled back and said, "Sure." For me, that drink never really happened, but a knock at the door, we went to knock at their door a few weeks after. And later, we've quickly found out that none of us were drinkers. We substituted that drink for many, many wonderful years of going out to breakfast on Sundays at Arvy's restaurant in Morton Grove, and Andrew's restaurant, I believe in Park Ridge, for their chicken dinner, which was really a great value. And of course, not that long ago, meeting for lunch, when we could, at the Jelly Cafe, which happened to be right across the street from Mount Shire, close to Mount Shire. The years that followed seemed to fly by. The Laskys and Levines were no longer 2 or 3 minutes apart. We had made several residential changes along the way. The Laskys found a nesting place in the western suburbs, and the Levines finally found their nesting place in Skokie. As friends over the years, we always made time to travel together, taking a cruise, enjoying Las Vegas and also Florida. During those years, we could never forget that there also came a wonderful family additions. Ted and Lynn's son, Jeffrey, came first, and then a few years later, our son Benjamin and daughter Rebecca were born. We vividly remember that together, Jeff and Ben had many wonderful, magical playing experiences, and you might call them adventures, most being at Uncle Teddy and Auntie Lynn's home. There were so many special moments of joy and laughter. Also, Chuck and I personally will never forget how Ted and Lynn would share their special names for each other. When Ted wanted Lynn's attention, Ted would loudly shout, "Hey, Lotch, did you see where I was putting something that he couldn't find?" And Lynn would say, "No, Toch, I never saw what you were looking for." Linny became Lotch, and Ted became Toch. Always brought us smiles. The years that followed both brought Ted and Lynn many more smiles for the marriage of their son, Jeffrey, to Rebecca, and then the birth of their grandchild, Joshua, who he so dearly loved. I would now like to share a special poem for Ted. And Ted, this is for you. Are you listening? Of all the special gifts in life, however great or small, to have you as a friend, Ted, was the greatest gift of all. May the winds of love both blow softly and whisper in your ear, we love and miss you, our friend Ted, and wish that you were here. Deep in our hearts, your life is kept to love and cherish and not forget. No more tomorrows we can share, but yesterdays are always there. A silent thought, a secret tear, keeps your memory ever, ever near, and our hearts for you so close forever. Thank you.
If anybody else has any words they wish to share, please come on up. It can be short or long. Just come on up and just say who you are in your relationship.
As soon as they get organized. Let me ask you what they call in Jewish a farkak, if you know what that means. Okay. Well, my name is Jerry Schifrin, and I didn't know Ted as well as some of you people here, but I liked him a lot. We met in high school, and somehow we both graduated. We weren't exactly honor society students. I met him in a shop class because we didn't take real classes. And since we were the only two Jewish kids in shop class, we bonded immediately and became good friends. After graduation, a life happened, and we went our separate ways for a long time. About 15 years ago, we reconnected on Facebook, and I'm really glad we did. We immediately started talking to each other and sharing stories about the old days. We really enjoyed getting together. Either he came north or I went west. We had dinners with our wives and a lot of phone calls where we would talk nonsense. We weren't exactly the same, but we had a lot in common and just enjoyed each other's friendship and company. I will miss him a lot and thankful we had an opportunity to reconnect. That's all. I want to limp out of here.
How do I press the mic? Hello, I'm Josh Lasky, his grandson. I will always remember Grandpa Lasky, all the times we went to the patio, Baker Square. I just miss him. And I remembered even towards the end, he always said, "I love you." And I love him too as well. It's just a quick message. But I love you, Grandpa.
Anybody else wishes to? This is available, open. Welcome to do so, or later find an opportunity to share stories. Picking up on these beautiful words, I think, Helene, your words about yesterdays and tomorrows. These are words from a modern poet. You can shed the tears that he is gone, or you can smile because he has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that he will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that he has left. Your heart can be empty because you cannot see him, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him and only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let that live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what he would want, smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. Lynn asked me to say a few words in her name, share a few stories. Jeff too. Spoke about his service to the National Guard. And I can actually resonate, as somebody who also served in the military elsewhere, I can resonate with his story. The first thing you need to know is never volunteer for anything, right? They'll find you if they need you. Keep your head down. So that was his template. That was his baseline to go from. But then there was a call while he was, in uniform. They needed a volunteer. Everybody, not me, but not Ted. In the moment, he decided, well, I'll go for this one. An officer needed a driver. So I said, sure, I'll do it. I can drive. Great. Gets in the car. It's a stick shift. He's never driven stick shift. Uh-oh. The officer said, don't worry, I'll teach you. He learned how to drive, became the officer's driver, and then got all sorts of benefits, I guess, from knowing what was going on and getting the hotel room when everybody else were bivouacking in tents. So I don't know if he ever completely abandoned the basic wisdom of never volunteer for anything, but maybe that some exceptions can be made and it works. So it's not just a dogma. You spoke about how outgoing he was. Perhaps that's a little harder to remember in the later years, but how good he was with people and was in sales for that reason, right? And could really come alive and bring things alive for people. I think Jeff had one story that stayed with me about how he once witnessed his dad embattled with a pair of pants. I've been there too, right? You got two legs, one goes in, it can happen. It was a real, but I think Ted won in the end, but it was close. And then in fact, Jeff went over and felt so bad for the pair of pants. You were 5 at the time, right? Gave the pants a big hug. It speaks to your heart, but also speaks to your dad's ability to bring things to life. Maybe he knew you were watching and he put it on a bit of a show for you. Spoke about how when driving with you, he would bring moral tales from an invented character, Irving the Mouse. And there would be a punchline, a moral from the tale. And as we were talking, we realized that Irving was his dad's name. So perhaps that's a way of carrying forward the wisdom from generation to generation and inspiration too. He once had you draw your own image of the mouse, and you're able to create that. And perhaps it's a softer way of conveying wisdom. Spoke about how what big heart he had, how once he witnessed a crash, and he went out and was out there helping people. About how he enjoyed bowling. How many of you have your own bowling ball? Wow, friends, clearly friends. He had his too. He had an amazing curve. He could score 180s. That's 180. That's an imaginary number for me, but perhaps some people can. It's a high number. He was an awesome bowler. And he enjoyed bowling, but he was never in the league. That was Lynn's thing. He enjoyed doing it on his own. But that was one of the things that he enjoyed to do so much. So one final story. This perhaps resonates here, a story that he would like to tell, perhaps about a moment like just this. He told me how he was very close with his maternal grandmother when he was a young boy. He was the first grandchild. It was special. And they lived together. The grandparents owned the building, and they had, as people did back then, they lived together in the same building, on the same floor. So they were very close. And apparently it's a story that he told once and again and again and again. If he told it once, he told it 100 times. And this is the story. This one, he was taking the nap, not like the other story. And Grandma had been sick, very sick, in hospital. All of a sudden, he woke up from the nap, and he saw a vision of his grandmother right before him, with other people, sort of not clear what it was. He didn't know who they were. It was very clear. A few moments after that, his sister ran in and said, "Grandma just died." And perhaps he felt she was saying goodbye because he loved her so much. And he insisted he wasn't sleeping, he wasn't dozing, it wasn't a vision, he wasn't on anything. It was real. And he would repeat this story again and again. And I'd like to suggest that however each one of us relates to that story, it was real for him. Even if we go to the end of saying, well, maybe it wasn't that real, the fact that he would have that vision, right, and feel that it was real, speaks of how real his love and connection to her was, right? You can say that at the very least. So the vision of your dad, your husband, granddad, all of this is something that carries forward, and it is real and can sustain and will sustain. Also, one final word about the final time of suffering and saying goodbye, and being okay with saying goodbye. This is a bit of a personal story for me, but perhaps resonates with some or more of you. I shared this story when we spoke. My own father died many years ago now. He had been sick too. And when the call came that it was time, he'd gone, I rushed home. And as I walked in, I felt that my parents' home was bathed in sunlight, a bright day. And then everything else happened, as it does. And it was only later that I reflected on that sensation of the house being bathed in sunlight in that moment and realized, wait a second, it's not that it had been overcast in all the days leading up to that day and suddenly the clouds cleared and the sun came out. No, it had been sunny every day until then. That day was no different to any of the preceding days. Every day had been sunlit and the house was bathed in sunlight all the days preceding. But of course, this was the feeling of sadness and struggle that lifted in that moment. And perhaps it's hard to concede that and acknowledge that in the moments of grief, but that's also a blessing. The blessing of letting go in the sadness, in the grief, in the tears, and in the love, sending him on his way and blessing his life. We turn to the closing prayers in the chapel, to the El Malei Rachamim, which you can find in the handouts that you received as we gathered beneath the 23rd Psalm. I invite you to please rise as you're able. As we honor Ted Lasky, honor the love that you shared, honor the care that all gave to him, and primarily Lynn, we honor him with these words. El Malei Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hamtzei Menucha Nechoino Tachot Kanfei HaShechina Im Kadoshim Motehoirim Kezohar Arakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Reb Tuvia Ben Wolf Shehalavach Le'olamo Lochein Bal Harachamim Yastirehu Beseter Kanafav Le'olomim Veyitzeror Bitzror Achayim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalato Veyanuach Veshalom Al Mishkavo Venomar Amen. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, unto the soul of Ted Lasky, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring him under the cover of thy wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be God's possession, and may his repose be peace. And we say, Amen. Kindly be seated.
Friends, this concludes this portion of the service. The interment will continue at Westlawn Cemetery in Norridge. Following the interment today, the family will be coming back here to the chapel. They'll be together for a luncheon that will go from approximately 2 p.m. Or from whenever the family and everyone else should return from the cemetery until about 7 p.m. this evening. And again, you're all welcome to attend. Whether you're joining us at the cemetery, again, you're welcome to come immediately back to the chapel. And if you're not able to make it to the cemetery, you are also welcome to come back later this afternoon or this evening at any time that is convenient for you to join the family. For those of you who are joining us in procession to the cemetery, we'll ask that you keep a few safety measures in mind as we make our way in procession. You want to make sure that your bright headlights and your hazard lights are on at all times in the procession. And please make sure to follow the car in front of you as closely as safety permits so that we don't have any gaps in the procession. You're also welcome to use your horns liberally as we make our way through intersections as well. We do encourage everyone to stay off of their phones as we're in procession. And finally, we'll ask that you obtain an orange funeral safety sticker to place on the passenger side of your front windshield. Those items will be made available as you're departing today. If you did not receive one, we'll have them with our staff out in the lot. The following have been asked to act as pallbearers today. When I call your name, I'll ask you to come forward. Joshua Lasky, Howard Simon, Erwin Cohen, Larry Takane, Marvin Spatz, and Jerry Wine. At this time, if everyone would please rise as we escort the family, the clergy, and Mr. Lasky from the chapel.